The wife is a chamber piece, and not least of all because there's some beautiful score that's played by a chamber orchestra. Stars Glenn Close, who we all know from Fatal Attraction and Les Liaisons Dangereuses or Dangerous Liaisons. Of course, she's this extraordinarily strong female character in everything she does. And what's really interesting about this film is that her strength manifests in such a different way than anything you've seen her do before. It's actually been quite a few years since I've seen her do anything, so she's physically aged and has even more weight. An actor who has weight or has gravitas, she seems to have even more than she's ever had in this film, even though the reverse psychology is at work here. So she's married to a Nobel Prize winning writer. We're set in this literary world, and we go back to when she was at college and was writing then, and fell in love with her professor, who was this ebullient, charming, very smart character that she looked up to. And of course, she ends up marrying him. That character, her younger self, is played by Glenn Close's real daughter, which is great. It's lovely. So in the present day, it's Jonathan Pryce who plays this overblown, blowhard, narcissistic husband. You think when you're watching it, especially as a woman, you think, oh my God, this is so typical. This is making me so angry. Generation of women who grew up in the 50s and weren't expected to have careers, and certainly weren't expected to have creative careers. I know who these women are. I think my ex-mother-in-law was one of these women, very, very contained, had 7 children, and really supported her husband's career. Put that same scenario, but actually the wife is not only cooking and cleaning and looking after the kids, but she's also the husband's career. So what you're seeing is what it takes to live with a narcissist, what it takes to live with a talentless narcissist when you are the talent. A lot of what came up for me when I was watching the film, of course, is at the same time as all this Judge Kavanaugh confirmation is going on, and Me Too. The overriding theme is that women just are not heard. Women are not listened to. Even when women are doing the work, it's really hard for men to give them credit. Now, I do believe that's changing, but in this world, in this film, you see how she deals with it. She doesn't just cook for him, but she looks after him. She's constantly berating him because he's eating biscuits and chocolate and fatty foods. You know, that's that narcissistic thing. They're constantly feeding their egos, but they're also constantly feeding their bodies. And she comes across as this very motherly figure towards this very childlike man. It's also about marriage, of course, because long marriages, how do they endure? How do they work for as long as they have? And at what point does one member of that marriage say, I know we have this set of rules, but I can't do it anymore? When Glenn Close finally tells her husband what she really thinks, what's really going on in her heart and her mind, he still doesn't listen to her. There were groans in the audience from all the women, I'm sure, with the stuff that was coming out of his mouth. It was quite an interactive screening that I went to, and there were probably only less than 20 people in the cinema. There's their son, who is played by Max Irons, walks around the whole film with a face like a slapdash. He wants to be a writer, and of course he's desperate for recognition from his father, which of course recognition equals love, and of course he's not getting any of that because this father couldn't possibly imagine his son being as good or better than him. I kept looking at Max Irons going, who do you remind me of? Because it's not Jeremy Irons, his dad, it's Sinead Cusack, his mum. He looks just like her. Sometimes these films would do just as well as a 2-part Sunday night drama, because I know how much goes into just shooting scenes in a flat or in one room or in the back of a car. Simple scenes, I mean, not big set pieces or action pieces. When you've got those sort of stories to tell, I often wonder what's in the filmmakers' minds, that they're going to put together millions of pounds to make quite a simple, strong story that actually wouldn't necessarily have needed a cinematic release. Or do you go to the cinema to see big action sequences when you know you want a big, huge screen and a brilliant sound system that you can hear all the nuances in? Why small films like this still perpetuate, which is brilliant, and still get into cinemas, which of course is equally brilliant. If you like stories about humans and family and marriages and what it takes to stay in a marriage, what it takes to leave a marriage. Glenn Close is amazing. Jonathan Pryce is brilliant as well. I mean, he's really, because he literally is the sun around which everybody else revolves. He does that really well. Yeah, so I'd say another 4 out of 5 stars.